So I thought about talking about what I've been experiencing lately. I started to observe myself, as in, why do I feel such an uncomfortable feeling and an avoidance when someone asks me if I want to do something and I don't want to. And I started thinking about this, like, why do I get this big reaction, this emotional reaction that brings me to go into avoidance and brings me into actually getting out of my center and start getting into unhealthy habits that I'm over, past through it. But I go back to when I get out of my center and I'm trying to avoid something. And that's sort of where I'm came up with this thought process, that I realized that I was very much afraid that people wouldn't like me, that I would disappoint them, and because of that they would maybe abandon me, cut me off. But in truth, it's not really worth it to keep pushing yourself to do things you don't actually want to do just to please other people, because when you do that, you start to get drained out of energy, and then actually everything you're giving to people is not really genuine, and it's not anything of a value, because if you follow your own inner guidance and you take rest when you need and you say no to the things you want to say no, when you are with people, you have energy, you have joy, you have peace, and you share from that place of being. Rather that if you don't, then it's just another automatic robot in the world. And that's how you're acting around other people, and that's how you're experiencing your existence. And my body reacts very quickly, and I can tell right away when I'm doing something I'm not supposed to anymore, because I very rarely do I get sick, and I only do when I start to do things I don't feel aligned with, and prioritizing pleasing other people or not disappointing them, or to push through to something because of an ideal of a desire that I had. So from the experience I had on the boat, and everything that happened really took me on to be on a reset button again. And since I did get sick, which rarely happens, and I had the thought, this is interesting, I haven't gotten sick in a long time, and then I got sick. When I think about it, when I came back, one of the things I started to do was to place my hands on my belly and chant over it, and to place my Tibetan bowl over it, and to sing with it, and to hum and play the bowl itself on top of my body, and to pray good things over it. And I realized that sometimes I get distracted in this world of distractions, and I end up doing the things that stopping the act of doing things that are actually the ones that are keeping me in a sense of alignment and peace. Because when I'm in that state, then I think that I don't need them anymore. The truth is, I've come to realize when I came back from that trip, one of the things I started to do as well was I started to pray. I think the last times I properly prayed as in an intention was very sporadically or when I was a child. But not even then. I've always had these conversations with myself in how I process emotions and to speak over something, and wisdom comes through me, and it it gives me the knowledge and wisdom that I need to learn from whatever it is that happens. And I've been sitting down and I started doing my breathing again. And I started finding my voice to be an act of healing for my soul, for my body, and of alignment for my body. From a book that I read, there's one song that is as this. Aho ma suka ho kola ireti mambola kola ireti dendima taina bazati ai Aho ma suka ho. I thought I'd talk about something that I've been working through, which is discernment. I have found that since I was very young, probably around I was like 4, 5, 6, and throughout my whole life, I have found myself in groups of people or surrounded in environments that are not really necessarily what I wish to be surrounded with. With people that drink, and I've drank before, and I had my phase that was something I wanted to experience. And then I reached a point where I was like, this is actually very empty and it's not fulfilling for me. But I kept being around it because I didn't want to be perceived in a negative way by those people that I had as friends. And so I was like, I'm okay with everything. But I'm not, because I go to those things, I have my fun, but when I leave those things, I just feel drained and almost as if I betrayed myself because I placed myself in circumstances to do things that actually are not what I want to do. Such as during like the boat trip when we went out and I ended up in this, I think it was hardcore techno, something like that. Nothing wrong with the people or anything like that, but it's just, and I did my best to have fun with it. But there's this constant inner voice within me that tells me that I don't really want to be there, and that's not actually anything that I'm interested in. And the music sounds like screams at some point in my head and in my ears, and it hurts. And I ask myself, then why am I here? Why am I pushing myself to be in this environment instead of just simply saying no? One, because I was afraid of missing out, afraid of missing people, or to not belong to a group because I was different and because I wanted something different. And when I came back and I analyzed all of this, I realized that I've been doing that since I was 6 years old, and I'm aware of it, but I keep redoing it. Why do I keep doing this? Because I clearly have discernment, so I guess my not problem, but what I find challenging then is to say no. For certain things it's very easy, but for other things it doesn't seem like it is easy. And I've come to realize that I have wanted to experience certain things, to be like other people, to find a sense of identity or a sense of belonging, instead of just accepting myself as I am, in the same way that I'm accepting other people as they are. When I was on my walk today, and I was thinking about when someone asks me for my number, or someone asks me if they want to hang out and I actually don't feel like it, or I don't want to. My immediate response in those circumstances is to give the number and to say yes and to be nice and to go along with it, even if that's not what I want. Unless it's something I really, really don't want, and then I avoid it and I make it not happen. But I was just pondering about it, and I just thought, well, let's just practice. If someone asks you for their number and says, "Can I have your number?" and you don't actually want to give it, what would you say? I would say, "No, thank you. Thank you very much for asking, but I don't want to." Or, yeah, that basically works for most of things. Most things. And I'm still trying to figure out, why does it feel so emotionally charged to do something that might push someone that had a desire towards me away, even if that's actually how I'm feeling. And it's probably rooted in the sense of trust in my own self, because I clearly do have that discernment, but then I override it. Why do I do that? I'm trusting more of other people's opinions and other people's desires towards me than my own inner will and my own wisdom and my own desires. And that doesn't really make any sense. Why am I doing that? Right? Because it's not that other people have anything wrong with them, or that I have anything wrong with me. But I do have how would you say, like, I have the right to not want something even if someone is offering it. If someone comes up to me, on one hand, one person comes up and offers me an apple, and another person comes up and offers me a lollipop, it is my own inner will, discernment, and wisdom to pick the apple because I know that that will make me feel better, and my body will digest it and will love the nourishment from it rather than the lollipop. It has nothing to do with the lollipop being wrong or the person offering it being wrong, but simply that that will lead me to an outcome I'm not interested in anymore. And I'm more interested in this one. And to have that clarity of discernment and to actually follow through with it. The interesting thing is, like, we're not always just on one. Like, that we never do it. Is I sometimes I do it, but other times I don't. And I'm trying to have this conversation with myself to realize that let's just keep rewriting it over and over again until the habit becomes that I actually follow through and I don't overwrite my clear discernment. Another interesting fact about discernment is discernment in people. I've had a few experiences when guys come up to me and very excitingly, and I can feel their enthusiasm and I can feel that they like me or they find me attractive and they might want to get to know me or to want something with me. And my immediate reaction is to, unless I'm really put off by the person, if there's anything that I find interesting or curious about that person, I play along with it. My first immediate reaction is, this is not for me. But I override it because I'm curious and I want to get to know the person. And I have some sort of my own desire or expectation or idealization that I start to create with that person. Like, what if this is the person? What if I'm not giving that person the right opportunity and I overwrite what I'm feeling? One of the most recent experiences that I had with that was I met this person and I found them attractive, but not like something also didn't feel quite right because I felt my nervous system went into dysregulation instead of being regulated. But I ignored that because I wanted to experience what that person was offering and to get to know them. And one common trait that I've been finding is that these guys that come into my life that is very short time and sort of transform me and show me parts of life that I become a lot more aware of after the interaction with them and sort of grow as a person, but a little bit through pain as well and through like intensity, and it comes very fast, is intense, the connection in terms of like emotional and intellectually, and then it goes away very fast. It's one common thing that I find is when I meet them, my mind goes blank and my body feels a lot more of just this uncontrollable excitement than a sense of peace. And in this last time that happened, I ignored it. I actually felt quite peaceful because I was a lot more aware of myself, but at the same time, I was just really curious about that person and I wanted to give it an opportunity to get to know that person, and but my mind was just blank and it didn't feel easy to approach them and it didn't feel like they were interested in actually getting to know me, but they were still interested in me in some way. And I guess that's one of the common patterns, is that my mind just goes blank and it doesn't feel easy to overflow with my stories and my knowledge and wisdom and the type of conversations that I enjoy having. It just doesn't flow. Other times, I guess other times it has flown though, but it just felt very intense and chaotic. I guess I'm going a little bit all over the place, but I'm kind of just talking in the same way that I talk with myself. In order to overcome the feeling dysregulated, or that I just wasn't feeling good, I started to pray. I've delved into affirmations and speaking good things over you many times. I didn't realize how much it was connected with praying, and how the act of praying is really you're just having a communication with God and with your soul, with the universe, with your higher self. And so I just started doing that and praying over myself as well. When I recently was sick, I would place my hands on my belly and I would go, I'm healthy, I'm healed, I feel good. May I have the wisdom, may I have the courage, may I have the discernment, may I see things with clarity, may I have the boldness and courage to take action in the things which are of the highest alignment for my being. May my body be filled with the Holy Spirit. May my body be filled with love, with joy, with peace. May my mind be clear as water. And so it is, amen. And I will always use amen. That's how I grew up. That's my origin, how my soul was chose to be born under the primary under the knowledge of the Bible and specifically of Jesus. I find a huge resonance with many other cultures and a lot with the Hindu culture. I always have this clear discernment that everything is interconnected, and that for some reason my soul chose this. I was born in Europe and I was raised in the family that I was raised under the command of the prayers that I was born with for a reason, and those are the origins of my soul in this lifetime, and that must be honored, because what a beautiful, incredible thing it is that I was bestowed upon this family that prayed over me since I was born, and even before I was born. That when I had my hardest times, they would light a candle and just pray over me, not pray with their own selfish desires for me that would benefit them, but just to pray for the highest good for me. As how beautiful that is, and how incredible to have that sense of love, and to be reminded over and over and over again that even when we act out of our personalities or our ego of defensiveness and our own karmas that are playing out, I can always feel this profound pure love from these beings that I share life with, and call family, because feeling that always reminds me to keep a higher perspective and to not over identify with the differences of opinion, differences of lifestyle, differences in perspectives in life. Like, it always gives me a sense of perspective in life. That's what I mean to say. And so that's sort of what I've been working through. Having more discernment, praying, chanting mantras away, because I don't know what it is, but it just feels so good. When I was in India, I feel like my accent changes. When I was in India in the yoga teacher training, one of my favorite classes was mantra chanting. And when we did the final exam, you could start. You should, but not everyone did, start with a mantra, and I just went straight into the mantra. Was my favorite part to chant, and everyone was silent, and I just sang my heart out with my eyes closed. Then I opened them. I'm not even sure, but yeah, that mantra that I sang was I believe it was Ganesha. I'll sing it now because I think it's good. The mantra goes as Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirviknyam Gurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. And I just sang this over and over and over again. And it was one of my favorite things. There was this... No, actually, I didn't sing this one on the exam. I sang another one. This one I used to sing with this girl called Samira, that I shared a room with, and obviously we were in the same class, and she was trying to memorize it, and I love that one because I've always felt a connection with Ganesha since I was a child. And like elephants, there's something about it that I always resonate. And whenever I travel, especially to Asia, any place that I stay always has a Ganesha. If it doesn't, I don't stay there a very long time, and it just happens that way. When it has a Ganesha, those are my favorite places, and I just feel protected. When I see it, I'm like, I'm good. I'm protected in some way, shape, or form. And as I was saying, the mantra that I sang before the exam was this one. Yogena Chitasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharira Shecha Vedakena Yopakarotam Pravara Muninam Patanjali Pran Jahalira Natosmi. This one I love. And whenever I sing both of these ones, it's like I'm taken back to India and I have that really warm, good feeling. And it just completely changes my mood. I got a little part there all wrong, but I think I corrected it. Yogena Chetasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharira Chechaveda Kena Yopakarotam Pravara Munina Patanjali Actually, in where I was staying up in Dramkot, there were singing lessons, and I ended up having one singing lesson. That's not the story that's funny. The funny story, not funny, but like a story that this reminds me of is we went up Triant, which is this mountain you can go up, um, and it was three of us. It was four of us, two guys, two girls. We camped up in the top. And then the next day we came down, and one of our friends needed to go to the bank, so he left early. So it was just the three of us coming down, both the girls and one of the guys. And as we were coming down, at some point we crossed paths with multiple people that are doing the pilgrimage up and down. And this one lady, she looked very young, but apparently she wasn't. She stopped. I don't know if it was raining or something like that. I can't really quite recall, but she stopped and she started talking to us, and she pointed out to this house in the middle of a hill beyond there, in the middle of nowhere, and she said, "I'm gonna go sleep there because I met this lady, and she said I could sleep there." It's a whole story. The interesting thing is, as we were just talking to her, we were like in a circle, and I think it probably was drizzling. I can't quite be sure. We were just in a circle, all the four of us, and I was just talking, normally speaking, and she turns to me and she says, this is like as best as I can recall it. I don't remember the exact words precisely, but it was something like along the lines of, "You have a beautiful voice. You need to use it. You need to sing. Can you sing something for us? Can you sing something?" And I was just talking. I was not even singing. And I've always had this sort of, a bit of shyness about my voice and singing, even though it's one of my favorite things. So when she said that, and in India, I was just so open, and I was chanting the mantras, and I was just loving it, and I felt really free to just be myself. So I just sang to them, and when I finished singing, she said, "You can never stop using your voice. Like, you have to keep using your voice." And then we moved on, another conversation, but that just stays. Like, that stuck with me, because ever since I was a child, we used to listen to a lot of music up until the point that I was like around 8, 9, when this lady came to live with us. Before that, I would wake up with music every weekend in the morning, and whether I was alone in the house or not, like, I would go up to the CD player and put on some CDs and just sing my heart along, and I would dance out, and I would just sing and scream, and I think my brother was the one who heard it the most, because a lot of times it was both of us at the house, just us, and I was so free to sing, but I was always a bit corrected, and sometimes it was like this just little comments, and they would sort of get to me sometimes. So I was a bit on the shyness of using my voice in singing, even though I love to sing, and always thinking that it wasn't good enough. With the years passing by and how much it is part of me, when I hang out with friends on a daily basis, I realize they listen to a lot of music. I don't actually listen to a lot of music. I'm in silence, or I'm listening to podcasts or information, because I just hum all the time, and I just sing my own songs, and I don't feel like listening to other people's songs all the time, because I'm just humming away my own. And I've also realized that I actually do have a beautiful voice, And even if it's not perfect, or even if people can place faults on it, or even if sometimes it cracks up or it doesn't make the correct sound, it doesn't really matter, because all that really matters is, does it bring joy to my soul? And is it something that I enjoy doing? Because it is my voice and it is my instrument and it is my right to use it. And no one should ever say that it's wrong. Like, you should never tell a child that they're not singing well. They're just singing, or that they're not drawing well. They're just drawing. They're learning. You can only learn to master something if you repeatedly do it over and over and over again. That's the only way you can do it. And so I've been singing a lot more, humming a lot more. I have a microphone and I can record myself. And that's why I do sometimes videos with the poems, not necessarily singing. It doesn't really matter if I'll ever be like a singer that people listen to or anything like that. All that really matters is that we find the things that bring joy and energy to our soul, and that we do them. The things that we call passions. They bring a sense of joy and peace to our life that is very much necessary. And why should we ever reject that? Why should we stop doing it out of non-perfection? Because perfection can only be attained or mastery if you repeatedly do it, if you practice, if you are willing to make mistakes over and over and over again. And if you don't make the right sound at the first time, you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And that's something that I've also learned a lot with painting, because starting off was the most challenging part, to be quite honest. And when I look at something that I created not even 10 years ago, and I've only done a few paintings, I've not done hundreds, I've done like maybe 15 or 20 at max, amongst like other things that I've done during like schoolwork and things like that, but like proper paintings. And when I see the first one and the second one and the third one and this one last one, it's like such huge differences between each one of those. But it's like I could never get to anywhere if I didn't even start, or if I didn't even practice. When I'm painting, like, I'm sure I'll do a video with the whole process of this one, because I really like it and it was a joy to make. It's so different from how it starts, and I do it and I redo it over and over and over again. And sometimes I do the nose and it looks fine and I move on to another part, and then when I do that other part, it's so much better, then I have to do the nose again. It's like to be willing to start over and over again until something is too good, and to have fun in that process. This was the first painting I've ever done that I wasn't in a rush to finish, and that I didn't want to finish quickly, because I know every time you finish, there's something else to do. And I was just really enjoying the process of it, like literally not looking at anything anymore. I didn't need it anymore. Like, I started off having to look at someone's picture to see the light and how the nose is and the eyes. And this one, it was mostly just it came out. And I did look up images from books of seeing how the light works, but in the end, sometimes the best way to do it is just go look at yourself in the mirror and see how the light comes from this place or that place, or to take a picture and then understand it. But then when you're doing it, it has to come from the memory of the picture you took in your head, and not necessarily something you're looking at. So all of this has just massively changed me in so many ways, to gain confidence in myself and to actually not care so much about what other people are going to say, because all that really matters in the end is that I do something that I love. Because what is life if you don't do things that you love? That's the whole purpose of it, isn't it? To have fun, to enjoy, and there's no really a big destination. It's just a continuous unfoldment of life, and that's the whole beauty of it. This rush that I had to get somewhere, because life slowed me down every time I tried to take a step too big. I've learned that it's okay. It's okay to not get any, like, what are you trying to get at? Because sometimes we idolize life, and when I have this house and la 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 and family and da 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 and or attain this and it looks like this in my life or that like my life, like, none of those things are wrong and you can still have them, but it's what are you looking for when you're idolizing them or you're imagining them? It's not the attainment of them or that there will be the things that make you feel okay. When you're imagining them and wanting them, you're actually wanting the sense of peace, the sense of presence, the sense of tranquility, of being okay with the present as it is. It's the sensation of being, but actually you can actually have that sense of being in this present moment, even without attaining those things. You can call upon it, your present experience of being, that tranquility and that peace and that presence. And so it makes it there's no rush to get anywhere, because you know you'll get there somewhere, but you are already experiencing that sense of peaceful joyfulness state of being. This has been my conclusion so far in life, and yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that comes out of me today. The birds are obviously extremely loud. This is one of my favorite parts of waking up, and one of the things that brings me peace, to be quite honest. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah. So I'll sing, and even if it's not perfect or if it makes mistakes, and it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you do the things that you love. Simply because they give you energy and life feels interesting in that way. And I feel like there's also many paths to God and to experience union with your soul. Obviously, certain practices are a very direct path to that. I've also experienced things with painting, and I feel like with other things people can experience that as well. Some people is math and numbers, and they start to get full downloads and get experiences of the universe in that way. Other people is with arts. I remember when I feel like I was in like 6th, 7th grade, something like that, maybe 8th, along those lines, like middle school age. And we've always had art classes, and everyone had them. They were mandatory. I remember we were sitting down, and I was in my desk. I was by myself, and I had the clock in front of me. And we had this project. Basically, you have to create your folder for the whole year, and you get to do it in however way you want, whichever way you want. And it was white. I love white, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. So I created these flowers that I took from this textile from pillow case, and I copied it, like, just by looking at it, And it was basically this folder with my name in a very like beautiful written old way, and then the whole frame of the flowers very colorful with my favorite colors all around it. And while I was doing it, I was so concentrated and I felt so in tune with what I was doing because it was fully coming from my own soul, like the, something that just felt right, the way that the flowers are and the writing, and like it's my choice in my way. Um, and I remember I just got into this zone, and it was just like suddenly I felt like I was in this dream, and my ears do this sort of thing as if I'm like in this kind of thing that I can't really, it's just this thing. And I remember I would look around and I would look towards the back and look at people and I'd look at the clock, and it was like time was passing, but it was as if time was not passing, and it was as if I was in this dream. And then when you're in that state, you feel just a different state of being that is not your normal one. And after that, it just struck me something about like, arts are something that really clicked in this moment for me. And that was one of the reasons also why I chose arts when I went to high school, because that experience never left me. Otherwise, I would have gone into economics and been like, I don't know, an accountant. I still think I'm good at it. I ended up in my job, I do something along those lines sometimes, but it feels very draining when I do it in the long run, because it doesn't feel like I'm free to express myself or my creativity or my thoughts. And now I realize that I really do need that. And when I was resisting that, that's what caused the sense of depression as a state of being. And I had to learn all of these things by myself because no one told me them, or no one walked them with me. I walked them with myself and with God, with all that is, to learn all of these things. So, yeah, I don't remember why I got into this experience, but I've come to realize that in the end, if you follow what feels right in your soul, life feels a lot more easy and a lot more peaceful inside. And even things that sometimes seem to be challenging, in those moments don't feel challenging. And why should we ever try to be like other people or listen to other people? I think I listen to a lot of people, and I can gather knowledge and be respectful and really listen. I also feel like you also need to listen to yourself and to have your own discernment. To have your own clarity. To know what's right from wrong for you, for yourself, and not because someone else told you. To actually understand, well, if I do this, then I'll feel in this way, and that doesn't feel right. And if I do this, then I'll feel in that way, and that one feels right. And to learn that discernment for yourself, because in some things it might be different from other people. sometimes what feels really right for someone doesn't really feel really right for you. And that's okay, because your soul is just looking to experience life through different lenses and different instruments and different paths and rays of light. That's my conclusion. I would like to say goodbye now and go on to do something else. This was very nice today for me. I am really grateful for this life, and I'm really grateful for my voice, and I'm really grateful that I can sing and that I love to sing and that I can paint, and I'm really grateful that my soul chose in this life to express itself through a creative path, even though it was very much like an emotional resistance for me, especially in the beginning, and I'm still working through it. I'm really grateful that I get to see how beautiful and how much beauty is part of God and a path to God, because in finding peace, there is a sense of order and cleanliness and pureness that exists. And that just is. And it's finding the hidden meanings of how art in its many ways can actually shape your experiences, and you learn the same things in this one different way. And I'm really grateful that I get to experience this life in this way, even though sometimes it feels foreign to me, and at the same time comes naturally. I'm learning how to embrace this side of me and how to acknowledge it as valid and to not push it away, to just want to renounce the world, but actually embrace the world, and to be in this world but not be of this world, and to have that perspective. And I'm really grateful that I've embraced it and that I'm allowing myself to express my ideas, the things that I learned, my experiences in these different mediums of expression. I'm really, really grateful for that. And each person has its own path and its own thing to discover, and sometimes it takes longer for some people than other people, but it also means you get a lot of lessons. And when you build something through consistent effort, it doesn't crumble down as easily, and it's a lot easier to come up again even if you fall down one step. And that's something that I've been learning in life, to keep taking one step and another step and another step. And you might not be perfect, and it might take your time. You keep taking a step and another step and another step, because if you don't take them, then you don't leave the same place. You're not going to get anywhere, or you're not going to experience anything. At least if you take one step, you're one step closer, no matter how small that step might be. And that even when you fall, or when you think that you feel like you're going backwards, there's no such thing as that. You just keep going, and you pick yourself up, and you keep taking one step and another step and another step, and you build something. And there's no rush in life, because every day that we live is a blessing, and every day that you wake up is a blessing. And this life is meant to be joyous and fun and playful and peaceful. And even in the ups and downs of it, that state of being is possible, and that acknowledgement of it being that is possible, and you just have to remind yourself again and again, and life becomes a lot softer, and you just pick yourself up, because that's all that makes sense. As long as you're alive, everything is worthy of living, and to keep picking yourself up and to keep going. And yeah, that's how I want to say goodbye today. Thank you so much for watching. If you came with me all this way, and thank you so much. This was Ines. Bye bye.